Hey everyone, this is Metalhead Nation 1021, and today I'm going to be going over the thrash metal albums that initially got me into thrash metal, as well as a few others. And these are artists in general and albums in particular. But in the second half of the video, I'm going to go over just a few of the bands that I've really gotten into recently. So anyways, let's start off with probably the most obvious one. My family isn't exactly, they aren't exactly metalheads. I'm the only metalhead. I'm the only one that you'll see wearing a Cannibal Corpse shirt. The only one you'll see listening to anything heavier than Megadeth, I guess. So it's pretty obvious that my introduction to metal in general was basically Metallica. This is the first Metallica album I bought myself. This album right here, love it again. This is Metallica's first, their most raw. Great album. You all have heard it. This album, on the other hand, if you can guess it, is Death Magnetic. This album is basically the first one that I really heard, I guess you could say. Like, I'd obviously heard Enter Sandman before this, but this was the album that really got me into it, and it was mostly because of, who would have guessed it, All Nightmare Long, which is right... Oh man, I can't even find it. Right there. Sorry, the camera's backwards. Anyways, that was really the song, I should say, that really introduced me to Metallica. Another song I'd like to point out that really got me into the music was Stone Cold Crazy, which I know you could debate wasn't really thrash, but it was fast-paced. It was Metallica. I'm going to call it thrash metal, just for all intents and purposes. That song, I listened to so many times in the car. I loved that song when I was younger, because I didn't know any of this other music, and that was just a whole other kingdom, I guess you could say. So that song in particular was the one that kind of catapulted my interest in thrash metal. Next, basically the obvious progression from Metallica was Megadeth. This is my dad's CD, actually. One of the heaviest things he listens to. I guess you could say there are a few other bands that he enjoys that are a little heavier, but this was the one that he played the most when I was younger. Especially, which one is it? Oh, I don't even need to look at it. It's Peace Sells. And it actually wasn't a lot of his playing of this music that I heard. It was a video game, Rock Band 2. I got that when I was younger. I was obsessed with it. I played it all the time. I still play it a lot nowadays. Especially with all the DLC and stuff, with Cannibal Corpse, you know. But it was Peace Sells, and I love that kick drum intro and that bass guitar. But I can definitely credit my dad for really getting me into thrash metal, because he basically had like a compilation CD that he made himself back in the 90s of a lot of songs of all different genres that he liked. And the two songs on that CD that really stuck out in my mind were Stone Cold Crazy and Symphony of Destruction by Megadeth on the album Countdown to Extinction. Those two songs, before I knew any of the other stuff I have here, I couldn't stop listening to. I didn't know anything heavier at the time. It was absolutely insane, and I still to this day absolutely love those two songs. That intro in Symphonies of Destruction was the creepiest thing I'd ever heard at that point. And Symphony of Destruction is just a masterpiece in its own right, but that was really my introduction to the world beyond Metallica in thrash metal. There wasn't really a lot of bands back then that really got me into the genre, if I do say so. But Slayer was another one with Rain and Blood. Obviously, the song everybody's heard. I love that song. I don't have anything physical to show of Slayer, sadly. Even though I do have their music on my device. But again, just that intro, and then you have the bass drum, just everything about that song. Then you have the end of the song with the whole whammy bar and the thunder. Just a great album. I can't really say enough about it. But it was that song in particular. When I heard it the first time, I can't even remember where it was. Oh, yeah, I remember now. It was on a Watch Mojo list of all places. And again, I'm 15. I grew up in this new age where I didn't really have access to that whole thing. I don't really share the story that most people do of looked in a record store. Oh, I saw the CD, I thought it looked cool, picked it up. I kind of heard it through the internet. So that was really my introduction to Slayer. It was a live video of them. I can't remember what it was. I could probably find the video again if I tried. But just hearing the intro riff and the video of them ominously standing on stage, I was sold right then. Love Slayer. Those were basically the three bands. I never really got into Anthrax. I don't know why. I liked the Attack of the Killer Bees. But other than that, I'd never really gotten into Anthrax, and I have no idea why. So those were basically the bands that got me into thrash metal originally when I was younger. I kind of took a break from that, in a way. I was still into metal, but not as really heavily. I was more into other things. And I'd never really been into metal back then, as much as I was now. I will credit probably the video game Rock Band for really getting me back into metal music. Or I'll give credit to myself, because yeah, I started thinking about it again a little bit more than I was. And I was like, I mean, just thinking about Metallica, all these old things that I listened to, I was like, why not get back to the music? And then I discovered all this other stuff, thanks to the internet, to just a ton of other things, meeting people. But my journey for music has been a lot easier than other people's. So, anyways, back to the story. Like, I kind of didn't search more for metal. I found Dream Theater, still my favorite band. That happened a few years ago. That was amazing. I still love Dream Theater. I can't credit... That was from Rock Band again, because I didn't really have any other sources. My family doesn't like Dream Theater. So when I found that, I got absolutely obsessed. And that kind of led me to other artists, too. That formed around the time, formed the same story, like searching for videos of Dream Theater. I found other stuff. I'll say that the first... another one of those artists that I found using Rock Band, not this particular album, but Testament, I think it was called Souls in Black. I can't remember. I haven't actually looked too much at Testament's older material yet. But, I mean, I love Gene Hoglan, his drumming. I love his drumming. I love the way he hits the drums with the aggression, but with the technicality. His style is so unique. So Testament, even though I don't think he played on that album, that was a good eye opener. I didn't even notice that was thrash metal in the beginning, because that's a slower tempoed song. But I can definitely credit that a little bit. Here's where I kind of really got into thrash metal. I will say that I found death metal after thrash metal, obviously, because I kind of got introduced to Metallica first, then Cannibal Corpse through Ace Ventura, and also Loudwire, thank you, by the way. Love that channel. Anyways, so I got into death metal, and I wanted to go see Nile. And death metal is still my favorite genre. Death metal and progressive metal are still my favorite genres. But I went to go see Nile, and they were the headliner of the show was Overkill. This was 2017, and that's when I really got into metal. I'll say I got really, really delved deep into metal in 2017, late 2016, 2017, and I'm going to be obsessed for the rest of my life. There's no doubt about that. But it was this band, when I was there, I'll never forget the story. I'm standing in the middle of the thing, and I think they start their first song. I'm sitting in the middle of the floor. And all of a sudden, this huge circle pit opens up, and I am not expecting it. I get hit really hard on the side of my arm. So my dad, who took me there, we retreat back to the back end of the theater, I think it was in DC, and listen to that. This was when they were touring for this album, The Grinding Wheel. Love this album. The drumming and everything is great, but that really got me into Overkill, and that kind of helped me find some other bands. And I will say the next band I got into through YouTube searching was Havoc. Just their technicality. This is still one of my favorite thrash metal bands. Their technicality, just everything they put in the music, all the extra things, what they added. In my opinion, they're one of the leaders of the thrash revival, and I love this album. By the way, their guitar work, their drum work, especially, just everything is amazing. I'll say one thing right now. For the old school thrash, it kind of took me a while to get into that. I wouldn't even say old school as a genre, but like old school as older bands. And I'm still looking at a lot of new thrash bands, and I still haven't heard of a ton of them, and I'm still looking for a lot more to enjoy. But really, the next one I got into was Exodus with this album. It was an impulse buy at a store called Earfood. This edition comes with the DVD of the making of the album and the CD itself for the music. Just this artwork, and I've heard the name Exodus before. I listened to some of their older albums a little bit, but never really gave them a chance. Gary Holt is an amazing guitarist, and the Kirk Hammett solo, that was just a good throwback to like how I got into thrash metal with Metallica. But this album is great. It actually takes a little bit of a death metal connotation at times with some of the riffs that are done. Just really intense, really good music, and I love that album art. I love the music. That's in my opinion, one of their best albums. But that's me growing up in the 2000s. And finally, for this video, we got Creator. I got this album the same day I got the Exodus album, if I'm not mistaken. And one other band I'd like to include that I almost didn't include, I guess, was, if I can find it, I know who it is. It's Sepultura. Or Sepultura, I still can't pronounce that name. But that band was another one that I really got into because of the impulse buys I made in one day. So I got this album the same day I got the Exodus album, and this thing, I love this. It is, they say Creator has had a lot of good albums recently, and I can't deny it. This album was melodic, but still had some really, really thrashy moments, and love just what they did on this album was awesome. And I love the inside artwork right here. That is just brutal. I definitely getting into older Creator stuff now. I've been watching a lot of other metal YouTubers like Scourge of Vinyl, Count. Oh man, I can't even remember the YouTube names. Anyways, and both of them are huge, more like extreme metal fans, and I'm more of an extreme metal fan myself. I like Dream Theater, and then basically all my other favorite bands are in the death metal genre. But with thrash metal, I really enjoy listening to that, and it's a little lighter substitute, I guess. And it really shows like what influenced my favorite bands. So it's all the thrash metal CDs, and it's great to be able to look back at these old discographies of these bands. Like in Creator, I love this album. The artwork and just everything, all the music is amazing. Anyways, I'm going to be making one of these videos probably after this on death metal, because that's going to be interesting. I'm going to have to trace back pretty far for that one too, just like this one. But anyways, I'm going to make some more videos. I hope people are enjoying these. I might be the only person that views my videos, to be honest. But thanks. If you do watch these, thanks for the support. And see you in the next video.